Welcome to Conversations with Dr. Omotola, where we have real powerful conversations designed to inspire brilliant minds to build influence, impact, and income from their expertise. If you're a professional sitting on your brilliance and unsure how to monetize it, this conversation is for you. So now this series is very special to me because I am doing something intentional. I'm having a 60-day challenge from the 1st of April to the 31st of May, which is my birthday. And over these 60 days, I'm going to be sharing my personal journey, real stories, powerful insights, practical strategies, my client success stories, as well as even behind the scenes of how I'm building the business of my brilliance. And if you're ready to stop hiding and start building, you need to stay with me on this journey. Let's go along. So today, in this very first solo episode, I want to take you back. I want to share my journey from Capetown, South Africa to the United States through the employment-based pathway. And more importantly, what that journey taught me about brilliance, positioning, and building something bigger than just a career. All right. So at the time when I was in Cape Town, building my career and doing what many professionals were taught to do, get the degree, work hard, follow the structure. On the outside, everything looked good, but internally, I knew there was more. But I knew I wasn't just called to work, I was called to build. And this is a personal story that I'm going to share on another day. Now, the opportunity to move to the United States came through the employment-based pathway. For many people, this was the big dream. As a matter of fact, I had applied for the EB2 NIW 15 years prior to that time, but I left the process because I was just overwhelmed and I didn't really know what to do. I had filed for myself and I had gotten an RFE, back when I was in South Africa, and I was just like, I don't know how to go about it. Foolish me. What I was supposed to do was to look for mentorship or look for somebody that could help me navigate that very difficult terrain at the time. I did not do that. So I just neglected it. I left the process alone and I just moved on with my life. I was just like, I can't do this, and I left it. 15 years later, I need to come back to this process. But this time, I was able to use a lawyer, have friends who had done the process while I had stayed back, and I was able to navigate it, and I did it the second time, and I got my approval within a month. Now, when I came to South Africa, when I came back to the United States, it was a great opportunity. I had so many dreams, and I was on a high horse, thinking that immediately I came, I was going to get a good job, everything was going to be fine and all of that. But I got a little bit of shocker, because I had applied to an oil company in York, Pennsylvania. I don't want to name the company, but I had applied to the company thinking that since I had gotten, the EB, the extraordinary talent visa, I should be like a hot cake in the American market. But I was shocked. As a matter of fact, I had the interview, my first interview. I had done my first company where I had interviewed, which is the oil company. They needed a biodiesel specialist. Remember, I had a PhD in environmental chemistry rather, and I had focused more on renewable and sustainable energy systems, where I had very specific specialty in biodiesel production. And in this company, this oil company, they needed the biodiesel section. I had done my research even before coming to the US. They had a biodiesel section and they were not really very thriving. So I was thinking that I would apply to that company and probably help them, in the biodiesel section. I had the interview back to back. I had 3 interviews, and in the final end of the interview, I noticed that I was the only Black person in that company. They were very shocked that somebody, Black female coming from Africa, had this amount of expertise, had this amount of credentials, because I had showed them all the things I've been able to do, with respect to SASO, my industry projects and everything. And they were very, very, very shocked, very, very surprised, and decided to, we did the interview, I passed the interview, but when it came to the final stage, they said they couldn't pay me, because at the time, my range, because of a PhD, I was supposed to be earning almost like $250,000 per year. So eventually the manager told me that they can't really afford me for now, and that they will put me on the side maybe as a consultant or consider me for something else later. And that's how I didn't get that job. So that was a first shocker for me when I came to the United States. So having done that, having gone through that, I was really very shocked. And It was a new move. It was a very big move for me, and a major transition, a new chapter. It was all very, very huge for me. And what people mostly talk about is that moving locations does not automatically translate to transformation. As a matter of fact, you can change countries but still remain unseen. You can elevate your environment but still play small. So what is the shift? What is the shift? And that was my awakening. I realized that my greatest asset was not just my qualification, it was my brilliance. I was not going to allow an all company or white dominated company determine how my brilliance was supposed to be perceived. And I did not intentionally, and if I did not intentionally position it, package it and present it in a way that I could be in control of my professional and career future in America, it will remain hidden regardless of where I was in the world. And that was when everything began to shift for me. So if you're watching me right now, I want you to take this with you. Your environment does not create your visibility. Most of the time, us professionals coming from diaspora now being from Africa and the United States, we believe that because we have a PhD, we are all in it, or we are all in all. That's not a lie. That's a lie, actually. You have to create visibility. You do to decide to be seen. You understand? You have to decide to be seen. And your degrees are powerful, but they are not enough. Yes, your degrees are powerful, but they're not enough. And now in the AI world and the disruptions that we're having with AI and machine learning, your degrees are not enough. You know, as a matter of fact, your degrees could be very intimidating. At the time, when I was applying from one job to another, they were telling me that I was overqualified. And eventually what I had to do was to remove my PhD from my CV, went to a recruiter, looked for a local recruiter, and told them I needed a job ASAP. And I was able to get a job in an investment company, a real estate investment company, a beautiful company for that matter. That was my first opportunity to work in corporate America. So I was there for barely 3 months before they found out that I had a PhD. And then my CEO found out, you know, I think they just did a little bit of research on me. They did some background check and all of that, and they found out that I was a PhD. I had this extensive credentials and everything. And they were like, why are you working here? Why did you take this position? At the time, I took the position as the director of impressions. It's just a glorified name for a concierge, a receptionist, you know, but it was and they paid me quite well, considerably. And so I worked there for 3 months before I now got a job as a lecturer in Harrisburg University of Science and Technology, where I was teaching hydrogeology in the Faculty of Environmental Sustainability. I was there for a semester, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it at all. The only black female in my faculty. I was just enjoying it. And there was no money for, there was no funds for research. And I'm not a researcher. I really don't like word research. And I just knew that this was not for me. And most of them were paying me very crap money. What I wanted to teach, they didn't have that. I wanted to teach environmental sciences, but they had another lecturer teaching that. So the 2 courses that they had need for was hydrogeology, an expert in hydrogeology. So I was struggling a little bit. So after a while, I decided I was going to leave. And then from there, I got another job in a law firm. Remember, I told you I've always wanted to work in corporate. I've always wanted to, it was just a dream of mine. I wanted to work in corporate. And then I got a job in a law firm, one of the best law firms in Pennsylvania, Saxon and Stone. And I was so happy. I loved it. The fact that I could dress up to work and all of that. I was a concierge consultant in Saxon and Stone, and I loved my job. However, I knew that my career trajectory might change because I didn't really want to pivot. You know, I was an academic. My brand was executive academic. I have always been in academia, but I knew that being in a law firm, that means how am I going to grow? I'm just going to be like, you know, just a glorified administrator in the law firm because I'm not an associate and I'm not a lawyer, you know. And then I just thought about it. Long term, it would not work. I knew long term it won't work, but I enjoyed the time that I was there and I learned a lot. And one of the things that I learned there was something that I now creating an offer on my website where we help people to plan their financial futures. You can check my website, brightconceptllc.com. You'll see everything there, and we can talk about helping you with your financial future, planning your retirement, annuities and things like that. I learned that in the law firm. The law firm experience was so beautiful, and each time I have a client, I talk to them about the experiences I learned there, and I teach them how the white people or the privileged people have really designed their life, created a life that they can never be broke. That's a story for another day. But anyway, your degrees are powerful, but they are not enough. Don't think, I was on a high horse actually, thinking that I had a PhD, automatically doors will open for me. This is America. I will begin to earn $250,000 per year and stuff like that. But I quickly learned. My bubble was burst very quickly. You must learn how to translate expertise into value. That is really the thing. And when I left the law firm, I decided to leave the law firm. And then I decided that I needed to go and look for how to design my career, to really be my career path. Luckily, I met somebody who helped me. And then I now work in the Department of Education in Maryland, USA, which is so, it flows, within my career trajectory. And I'm going to be talking about that in the episode 2. So the third thing I also want you to learn is that you don't need to arrive before you start building. You don't need to arrive before you start building. You have to build as you evolve. Evolving is a process. So you don't need to get to somewhere where you now need that process before you now start building. You have to build as you evolve. Begin to accumulate your credentials. What I mean by accumulate is that all the things that you have decided you have, begin to write them down. Keep your data, keep your credentials, keep every information about you, because you never know when one skill might be really relevant in the job that you're looking for. So build as you evolve. And this is why this is exactly what I'm doing today, because I see so many brilliant professionals with incredible knowledge, expertise, and experience and potential, but they are hidden. They are very hidden, and they are underpaid. I was underpaid for quite a while. My first job, I was paid $25 per hour. My second job, I was paid very ridiculous amounts of money. In the law firm, I was paid quite well. Considerably, but it was not yet a 6-figure. It was a 5-figure per year, and I was still being underpaid, and that was just because I was not just positioned properly. And that should not be your story. And that is why I try to help people navigate this process. I help that in my mentorship. So if you're listening to me and deep down you're ready to move from just working to building, from just having a career to creating influence, impact, and income, then that is exactly what I do with helping professionals build a business of their brilliance inside the Dr. Omotola mentorship experience. The waitlist is now open, and we start on the 1st of June. The waitlist is open. Comment waitlist at your DM or type Brilliance, and I will send you the link to sign up. And you can click on the link in my bio for more details if you want to. And as we continue the 60-day journey together, I want you to remember this, that your brilliance was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to be built into a business. Your brilliance was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to be built into a business. I'll see you in the next episode, and I can't wait. Toodles.